Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, and my friends, in today's video, I guess we're doing a tier list. Now, no, it's not a tier list of overall character balance, all that kind of stuff, character strengths. As for DnF Duel, this is still week 1, much too early for that. But what I think is fair to get a little bit of gauge on is the character's passives. So when the character enters a low health state, when you get a lot of damage, your bar turns red, you get your super. That is also when the character unlocks their passive move. And some characters' passives, let's be frank, are a lot better than others. So I figure let's go through them and let's rate them. If you want to see a completed tier list, skip to the end of the video. I'll have a picture of it there. But for now, let's start here at the start with the Hitman. So the Hitman's passive, what does it give him? Well, it gives him basically extra attacks on all of his mana skills, in that his little ghost buddies will show up to play with a massive attack. So what does this mean? Well, let's get frank here. It makes it basically the best passive in the game. Because on basic stuff here, like that hit here, you see? Okay, that caused a crumple state from which we can get full combos. If you do it on your reversal, it launches a lot more damage, and also it can make your reversal basically safe with just the additional pushback, because a lot of punishing a reversal is kind of predicated on being close to the enemy, right? And with the pushback and the fact you're not really negative anymore, that's kind of a thing. So yes, with the incredible pushback and the fact that he recovers almost instantly, you're not really punishing it, right? Now, one thing about this here, you can actually roll past it. But the problem is, depending on the character you are, if your normals aren't fast enough, you still can't punish it if you roll past it. So it's pretty good is what I'm trying to tell you. That, and it can just turn any straight hit into honestly monstrous damage. That's just a basic example. I don't got the optimals, right? But it just ups his damage potential by an absurd amount. Frankly, it just allows for big damage. In a way, that's I guess one of the faults you would lay at this character's feet, in that his damage is kind of low. But if you have this available to you, obviously you have your super available to you as well. And he can reliably kill you at 60, 70% at any given point. So yeah, this is basically the best passive in the game, is what I'm trying to tell you. Definitely S rank. So the Dragon Knight's passive is pretty simple, but it's the best kind of simple, in that it gives you much more mana regeneration. Effectively, the mana regen, when it happens at an absurdly faster rate than normal. Look at this, right? And we're already back at full. If we were not in our awakening state with our passive, same deal here, but, well, it regenerates at a normal amount, right? This is basically double the speed, if not more. Takes so long. Just look how much faster this is. This is absolutely ridiculous. The thing is, your dragon pal, his moves ain't cheap, right? If you want to keep tossing them out, you need more and more gas to work with. You need more mana, and this is exactly that. On top of that, too, the amount of mana you get for hitting the enemy is also fairly substantially raised. So it means you have more offense, more offense, more offense, more offense. You can keep go, 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 go. Keep summoning the dragon, keep doing a bunch of your big pokes, all that kind of stuff. Because, well, you're going to get that mana back real quick. So you can basically play a way more aggressive play style than you normally would. And for that, I think this is also one of the better passives in the game. I'm going to rate this one A+. So what is the Kunoichi's passive? Well, what it does is it allows her to take her moves, and she has a lot of charge moves. You hold the button, and it makes the charge time faster than it currently is. And on top of that, it also makes them take even less mana than they normally do. Normally, if you hold the version of the move, it takes less mana. This, well, it takes less even yet. So this example here, the held flame, so 30 mana all in all. Normally, without the passive, well, you can see it's a lot more than 30, right? So the mana savings are significant on top of the speed. Something like the big tornado. Now the charge time's not too long, honestly, for the effects you get, but the fact that you can get it even faster at a more of a discount. Normally our held version is a cool 85 mana, right? With our charge version here, now it's only 80. So yeah, I know it's not a lot of savings necessarily, But still, the fact that it's like almost double the speed to charge, and the fact that you have a little bit of savings means this just helps her offense. Now, it's not necessarily as wild as some of the others, but still, I think it's pretty solid. I'm going to give it an A ranking. The Swift Master. So his Awakening passive is basic. Like, it does one thing and one thing only, and what that does is it effectively doubles your speed. Like, he was already pretty quick, and now he's a lightning rod. Like, he's like chips enough now, basically, right? And what this matters for him is stuff like whiff punishes for him. He's already potentially one of the best whiff punishes in the game, just because Stan M already moves you forward. And with that additional speed, he'll be like, you whiff any combo anywhere on the screen, and he'll be able to dash in and punish you, right? So it's only exactly what it is on paper. He's faster, but the speed is what helps him out on top of like his ridiculous normals and his pressure, and that just makes him get in and dart out all the faster. So it just makes him better at what he already does. So it's not a game changer in and of itself, like say the Hitman's is, where like all of a sudden you have to play differently now to go around some of his stuff. But still, it's very solid. I'm going to give it an A ranking. Now, the Rangers is very different. So you tap someone with like anything, doesn't matter. It could be a big hit, a little hit. You see all the debuff icons across the screen, right? So what this is multifold. Is the enemy does less damage, you do more damage to the enemy, and their mana regen rate goes down. So stuff like more damage. Let's just take a normal medium here, right? So 60 damage. Now, we put ourselves into passive. Okay, the first hit is still going to be 60, but now the second hit with the debuff on is 80. Like, as you can tell, that's significant. So let's just try something really basic here. We're just going to get all our hits in, right? So at the end of all this here, 148. With the passive live, 177, right? So it helps the damage. If it was just the damage, that'd be a little ho-hum, but it's a lot more than just the damage. The enemy hits us with the medium, 60 damage. Now, it's 45. They do less damage too across the board. So it's not just us getting more damage with the debuffs, they also get less. And also, remember I said, it affects their mana regen. So here, so we both roughly did the super at the same time. And I'm going to reach my max a little bit before their max. Once again, it's only a little bit less, but it is still less. So they do less damage, you do more damage, and they gain less mana. So it's really solid all around. I'm going to give this one a rank of A. The Inquisitor, her skill is a little basic, I guess you could say, although it directly helps what she wants to do. So when you have your Awakening up and you have your passive up, she regains mana immediately after any special. And that includes if you do the simple input, to the point where it actually literally doesn't matter anymore if you do the simple input or not. Since the mana regen is immediate, you can just do the simple input. So if that's a deal breaker for you, I guess there you go. But yeah, so lets her regen mana immediately, which means basically more wheels. And wheels the name of the game, right? So it helps Inquisitor do directly what she wants to do. That said, though, you know, that's nice, but it's not a game changer. So this one I'm just going to be rating as a B. So Striker is interesting. Yes, it ups her damage, right? So if it was just that, then whatever. Like, here I am, here's a jab, 49. Someone without it, 45. So not a world more damage, right? But it also ups the minimum damage you can do. Meaning, not only do you do more damage, the least amount of damage a combo could do, and say, you know, a longer combo. And she's kind of a character that has longer combos, right? That means the normal minimum is upped. So basic example here, but so at the end of all that, we did 181 damage, and the last possible hit did 8 damage. And here we are, so more damage, obviously, right? And the last possible hit did 11 damage. So it's not a lot, right? It will just lead to more damage in the end, but, you know, more damage is nice, but it's just a pretty ho-hum way to get it. Now, if it upped the minimum damage of your super moves, that would be something, right? That would be actually like a really big deal. But her super move, even while in the passive, even though the minimums are raised, it still only does 200. If it did like 250 or something instead, that would be big, but well, it doesn't. So as it stands, just because it's more damage, but that's it, I'm going to rate this one as a C. Berserker, it's quick, it's easy. When he has his passive up, all of his moves gain health. And it's not an insignificant amount either. Like basic B&B, sure, but like as you can see here, we got a good chunk of health back. Health is the single most important resource in this game. If you don't got it, you lose. End of story. So the fact that he can get health back at all and at a really decent pace means this is a good passive. Doubly so because he needs that health to do all his Berserk Boy things, right? And he can basically stay ahead of it if he keeps it up. Simple, easy to understand, very good, A+ for sure. Now, Vanguard's, like, honestly, it's not very sexy, right? He does more guard gauge damage. But the thing is, it's a big deal. So that one right there, it did, let's say, 40-ish%, right, on the guard gauge. Now, same scenario, same combo, right? All of a sudden, that's like 75-80%. So while he has his passive up, he will break you basically in 2 block exchanges. If you are just like tiddlywinking around and blocking, you block once, and if he gets you again, you're open, you're done, right? So it is a very, very, very real thing for him to break you open and destroy your guard gauge while the passive is up. Now, he has to be almost dead to do it, which sucks, right? And it only matters when it works, right? Like, if you block a whole big scenario and it didn't break your guard gauge, well, then whatever, right? Like, you're still good to go. It has to actually break you to matter. But still, he can and will do it. And with 200 mana, he will definitely be burning on the expensive options that drill through your guard, right? So, yeah, I think it's downright solid. I'm going to give it a solid A. Grapplers is boring and I hate it. He just takes less white damage. That's it. So that's that setup right there. So same setup here. And yes, it is significantly less, right? It is like, I don't know, like 4 times less gray damage. But still, that's all it is. You just take less chip, right? That's it. That's all. That's nothing. Doesn't help him get in better. Doesn't help him win. It doesn't help him win, right? It just helps him lose less. So with that, I'm going to give this one a C, our lowest rating. Now, the Crusader. His is also like the Grapplers, a lose less kind of deal, but it's at least more varied and interesting. One, he just takes less damage. Takes about 10% less damage. A bonk against a normal Crusader, that's 65. Bonk against this Crusader, 59. So he takes a little bit less damage. That's good. Also, he regains white health at a much faster pace. So 2 charges here, and then, you know, say the normal white health regen, right? Now, watch it done against us with the passive up, and when the regen kicks in, look how much significantly faster it is. A lot faster. So that means more effective health, right? You will get that back quicker, and on top of taking less damage as it is. And finally, even though it's not particularly cool or sexy, you do take just ever so little less guard damage. Just a smidge less. He has, he has the highest health pool in the game as it already is. So the fact he takes less damage means it's just a little bit higher yet. And the fact that he regens gray health so fast means potentially even more health on top of that. So this one I will rate a little bit higher than Grapplers. I'll give this one a B. Enchantress's passive is simple, if not just a little on the nose, I guess, in that when you have your puppet active, your mana drain is a fair bit less than normal. So since this doesn't do much past the point that you would have already have run dry, because it only helps the passive drain, right? It doesn't make your moves any cheaper or anything like that. They still cost, exactly what they cost. That's a little disappointing. Just it lets you be passive a little bit longer. That's it. That's all. So this one I'm not going to rank too highly, honestly. I'm going to give this one a B. It's certainly better than nothing, but realistically, you're not just sitting there being passive all the time. The passive drains whatever, right? So It's cool, but it's not much. So the Troubleshooter, he definitely has one of the more significant passives, absolutely. Because it changes a lot of his moves. Basically, it changes every move that uses magic. So, here, neutral magic, his Rekka series. Like, look how high that launches. If you don't get that passive, well, it certainly launches. It does not launch that high. With the new height, all sorts of new combo possibilities, absolutely. How about his big gunshot? This guy here. Oh, it wall bounces. Okay. And it wall bounces in the hard knockdown. You see they're not tech rolling or anything, right? And since it is a hard knockdown, well, hey, want to get a little inventive with that? Because we can. Because we can OTG and start tossing some traps and stuff like that too. Also another big part of his game plan. Without that passive, suffice to say, there's no wall bounce. There's no running up in time to get that OTG. Like, things just are better. Simple as that. So not only does this give you just more raw damage, because of, you get the follow-ups and all that kind of stuff, since you also get more net tosses, all that kind of stuff here, that means more opportunities for more gimmicks and all that kind of stuff. Now, speaking of the net toss, so you toss your trap here, and look at that launch. See how high they go? Once again here, without that passive in play, while they launch up, yes, they do not launch up anywhere near that high. More height on launch means more combo potential, more damage, more everything. Great. Okay, so our moves do new things. That's already really good. Now on top of that, all of his moves do more guard gauge damage. Like, he's not quite the Vanguard, right? So maybe it won't matter as much. But also, all of his moves do more white health damage. More, look at this here. Significant, right? Not like double or nothing, but definitely more. And a nice hidden little thing that you won't necessarily find too many people talking about. It increases pushback on moves. So, like, the reversal, you get blocked, you're dead, right? Like, look at that. But, say we got our passive up here. Look at that pushback. Now, unlike the Hitman, it doesn't necessarily change the frame data. So even with this intense pushback, some people can still punish it if they have, like, auto-tracking moves or stuff like that, right? But it also means a lot of the cast can't. It just means they're simply out too far now. So it makes his reversal safe-ish? Safe depending on the situation, basically, depending on the character. That is a titanic amount of push block. Like, you are getting, like, even point blank, right? Like, some characters like the Grappler are now out of luck. Like, they're not going to be able to reach in time anymore, which, sucks for them, right? So yeah, it makes your reversal safer. Do more guard gauge damage, do more white health damage, and do more damage because your moves all have new properties across the board. So the Troubleshooter, just like his pal the Hitman, is getting an S ranking for his passive. The Launcher, solid enough if maybe a bit unimaginative. It just basically doubles the chip damage. So, like, whatever special you're doing, it does not matter which special. If the move can inflict white health damage, it'll basically do double what you would expect. Which does mean, yes, she has the potential, if she can just, like, hit you with a magic move to get a critical hit, to steal all that health from you. But in and of itself, it doesn't do much. It doesn't add new properties, doesn't make her more survivable. It just gives you more chip damage, basically. So with that in mind, it's going to get ranked a B. So the Ghostblade is quite basic. It's quite unimaginative, honestly. It's just more damage. That's all it is, like 55 versus 50. And of course, yes, more damage will play into longer combos. Right? So 201 versus 185, right? So it is more damage. More damage is more better, but that's all it is, and that's boring. So this one is getting ranked in the C category. And finally here, the Lost Warrior. So Lost Warrior's passive effect is interesting, as it's basically affects what everything is about, right? He's all about applying the stacks and doing the time stop effect. And before we get to the time stop, whenever you do any move that applies a stack, at the end of the move's conclusion, right before they pop up or do whatever, they're just stuck in place just for a tiniest amount, right? And this just additional layer of hit stop means, well, like stuff like this is possible. Like, okay, I can get a bunch of those in a row. That's great. Now, without the passive, try as I might here, since there's not that additional layer hit stop, that just means they're falling to the ground quicker, and that combo is not possible versus, obviously, quite possible for me here. So this ups your potential damage by a lot, and then we have the actual time stop effect itself. So the actual time stop effect itself simply lasts longer. So if you're like, say, mashing this all time, and the maximum time stop here, I can get 5 of those in, versus the time stop without the passive, I can only get 4 of those in. So it's not a lot more time, but it is a little bit more time, which means basically your time stop effect gives you more damage potential than you otherwise would have. So it makes all your specials better, and you get more setups from them because of the time stop. You can get better combos, and when you get the actual time stop effect off, then you'll probably win the game because you'll have just a little bit more time to get more damage in, which is always good. And you're obviously in the awakening state, which means you'll have your super. So at which point you just cap off that couple of bits more damage with the super, start flinging them around with your mind, and you probably win the match. So overall, I think his passive is actually very solid. I'm going to rank this one A+. And there you have it. So that is my tier list of all the characters' passive abilities when you're in your awakening state in DnF Duel. So let me know both what you think of the list. You know, it's right here. There it is. Do you agree? Disagree? Do you want to speak up for one passive's abilities that maybe I missed something? Or maybe you just didn't realize what it could really do and you're kind of blown away? Because for a couple of these, honestly, myself, like I had a decent idea of what they did, then I kind of dug in. Troubleshooter especially kind of blew me away because, like, oh yeah, he does a little bit more gray health. That's all I thought he did. And then I found out he has all new properties on his moves and he can make his reversal somewhat safe on block. Like, that's big stuff. So yeah, let me know what you think, and otherwise we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some DnF Duel.